The different screen. I know, it's like
I think
Yeah.
it's been like 8 or 7 weeks now. No, it's, the short way of explaining it is that it's not really about it, it's functions, but I cannot.
I'll probably teach it out of public. Not.
That's what.
ways to.
I think when I was nice in my 20s, going to bars with friends and stuff, I would just get the glass, or in the ice, and it looked like it was out of the pot, they got rid of all of it.
We have
But
financial close.
more so that was water.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be just down in the.
Not up here.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, I have to make a picture.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just kidding.
I just felt like I was like a teenager again, you know. My friend to the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, my dad was very. Like he was just so.
That's right, we haven't even done it.
My
Was that Luca?
dad. Changed the name.
Oh, you did? It's not the deli. What is it now?
Fox
When you May? Fox Canyon Barbie?
Yeah.
I definitely see.
I know, right?
Yep.
Is it?
You guys ready?
I used to get hers to get my hair. Is it recording? My mom would, my mom started trimming my hair since I was like 11 years old. And once I was like 17, I was like, you're not doing that no more, Mom. You're not forcing me to do that no more. Yeah. So I've had it naturally straight my whole life after that. It's straight. Yeah. I just have one like wave right underneath the top. That's round like that. Like that's Charlotte, like my little girl, she has like wavy hair like this, but big pieces on top. Right here. So I asked the doctor if his little what would happen, right? If that was ever gonna and the doctor said, yeah, either it's gonna go curly or it's gonna go straight. No, it's just a combination of both. So yeah. So she's yeah, no, I mean, I have like native American hair. Yeah. And I like it more pretty. It's funny how we're never happy with what we have.
Yeah.
But I, but when you turn on your potato, run to the world.
We waited for you.
Well, you can do all kinds of.
You can do all kinds of stuff.
All right.
Past 6:30, and I'm just gonna call this meeting to order.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Christine Wagner.
Hey, we called the meeting to order, everybody. We can just bring it, center it.
And then let's go ahead and do roll call. But Maggie.
Here.
What's the beast here?
Hillary here.
Any of the other here?
Jennifer here online.
Jennifer said that she was here. Sorry, my volume was down.
Rebecca here, hi, I'm here, Charlotte here. And here.
Perfect.
I wasn't sure how many board members and they're trying to leave it clear over there,
I
so.
got you, Joe. Have a second.
Hillary. Yes. I need you to make a copy. We're keeping the agenda live for everybody. I'm so sorry. I was like,
You go to file. You go to file.
and make a copy. And then after we know.
Over here.
Oh, focus.
Share it with everybody who's already sharing, or you can.
See,
I'm gonna.
Sylvia, how can I see? No, I can write it. I got
It's the roll call. Oh, glad you made it. And Sylvia's here as well. Do we have any changes that we need to do to the agenda, or is it good as it stands? Good for executive decision. A motion to change the agenda?
Under the personnel matters? Yeah.
Where is there a thing called limited personnel matters?
It's a motion to add an agenda item.
Where?
Oh, right, before we adjourn.
Right before we adjourn.
Oh, okay.
You need a second?
I'll second it.
Let's go ahead and take a vote. The yeas. Nays. Nays, motion passed.
As a reminder to the community that's in-house with us, please sign in. If you haven't done so already, please sign in. And if you would like to provide public comment, also please sign public comment board. For anyone on the Zoom link, you don't have to sign in. I've signed you in, but if you would like public comment, please raise your hand or message me.
And a motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
I second that one.
I have some comments on it.
Is this in order? Is this out of order or in order?
It's the
Well,
word
I,
minute.
okay, but
So
We just-
I have some serious issues with the minutes. Like super serious issues with the minutes.
Hold on, time out.
Yeah.
So let's just take a second.
And let's try to be addressed in the community.
Public comments.
I mean, another option is to table approving them, but you would need to give us beforehand your feedback, so we know what your serious concerns are. And then we could, but they're minutes for the board.
I understand.
So is it serious enough that we need to table the minutes and then we
Oh, yeah.
talk about it in the
Oh,
community input?
I think it is
Okay,
serious enough.
so let's go ahead and do that. Let's table the minutes for now, and then in the community input section, we'll hear about it.
No.
No?
As a staff member, because I'm assuming that has to do with when you spoke as a bookkeeper.
No, it has to do with just actually almost every single page in the minutes.
I did pretty much that.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
So then I would suggest give feedback to the directors,
In writing.
so they can decide what to do.
Well, I was waiting until.
So I'll motion to table our minutes, approval of our minutes, until next meeting. And if someone can second it, we can just push this process forward.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and take a vote for it.
All in favor?
I'm going,
Okay. You can address that in the public meetings portion. Actually, no, you can address that in writing, to the staff, and we can address it in our next meetings if it's necessary.
Okay.
Moving forward.
okay, but there's still a motion that's been seconded on the
And passed.
board, so it needs to be withdrawn. Now, the motion to approve is all, there's a motion that Jose has to approve, that Rebecca seconded that needs to be withdrawn.
So I
Say we-
motion to withdraw my motion to approve last meeting's minutes. Seconded by Scarlett. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving forward.
All right.
So,
You know, it's very important to really count the ayes and those that are abstaining and not saying anything. And nays. I think that's very important to do.
Are there any nays? Okay,
Is
Any
anyone
abstains?
abstaining? So it is all ayes?
yes.
Okay, that needs to be very clear.
And then, we'll move on to the reports, if we can have the librarian reports.
Okay, everybody. The librarian report, as we look at, for those of you on Zoom, you're seeing my screen, for those of you online. For those of you in house, you can see the screen behind us. We're looking at the quick monthly statistics, the patron statistics that go in. We've got February 2024 compared to 2023 to 19. And then we compare again to last month. So last month in January, we had more patron visits than we did this month. So we were a little busier in January in terms of the number of people that were coming through, but the reference questions for February doubled, almost tripled the numbers. So we can see that though we might be getting less patrons in, the patrons that are coming in are requesting more services from the staff and the volunteers that are here. As we compare our 2023, February 2023 to February 2024, we're pretty close within the last year or so, plus or minus a few numbers there. As of COVID, we're still below COVID numbers. If we're trying to reach those COVID numbers, we're still a bit below that, right? When we look at circulation statistics overall, we look at February compared to 2024 compared to February 2023, and then again to January. So what is that kind of telling us about how many books are coming in, out, who's renewing, and then our in-house materials that are here. And this is just a kind of quick overview. We had more checkouts in 2023 than we did in 2024. And when we compare January to February, we had more checkouts in February, but still tracking in January of 2023. Actually, it says 2020. Yeah, 2024. So as we go to the circulation statistics from Libby, which is one of our digital platforms, this shows us our total cumulative for 2023, our comparison to 2019, where we started January, and then February's the current numbers of how many books have been statistically checked out under YA juvenile. And this is a reminder that this is only one half of our digital collection. The other half is Hoopla. And those reports actually will be able to come on to the next month board report. I was able to have a quick conversation with Hoopla today, and they're able to get some reports for us. So we found a way to make it work. I think that's going to be a really beneficial thing to see all of our digital checkouts. The seed library is open as we are working towards getting seed out into the community. That is meant for the seed to stay within our local area. The seed acclimatizes, right? So we get it to learn its new values, its new system, its new environment, and then it comes back with that genetic information. So it's better prepared for drought, better prepared for fire seasons, whatever our changing environment is, those seeds coming back, that genetic diversity is really important, and that learning, that genetic learning is really important. So that's why we want a lot of seeds to go out and we want seeds to come back. We do want seeds to go to all the places, but there's some seeds that just won't grow at the higher elevation. So we look at Penasco, they're not going to be able to grow as much as we can grow here. So if you're coming from the Penasco area, though the seed library is completely open to you, don't be disappointed when your corn doesn't grow, or, you know, so there is just that awareness that when we change our elevation, our seasons are different, you might not be able to grow what we can grow here. So it's always a good reminder that barter, trade, plant somebody, talk to them about the garden that's happening in Dixon, and think about how you can trade. What can they plant up in Penasco, or Taos, or Tujas, or wherever, that we can't plant here. We don't do so well. Gourds, squashes, those are things that I think go off the cuff, but then trade and barter, and then those seed stories continue to go, and those are really important seed passes. Our collection, as always, we try and highlight with every month what Heritage Month it is. April is Arab Heritage Month. They're going to be getting a lot of Arab works from different authors. We have a few, and as always, like, diversify your reading, right? Diversify the people who you listen to. So let's listen to these diverse voices coming from other countries. Programming, we only have one programming book for the month of April. It is Sherry Burr. She's coming from the New Mexico Humanities Council. She is a professor, and she is coming to talk about one of her books, which is about free Blacks in Virginia, and how when colonization happened, those Blacks who were free then were enslaved, and how those systems of oppression continue to go away. No teen programming at this time, so if anyone would love or has a teen that is like, yo, I want you to do some things for me, please come and talk to me. I would love to have a teenager tell me what they want this library to be, because let's make it happen. That's a voice and a demographic that is severely lacking in my opinion. In this group, play group, formerly the Caterpillar Club, is pretty amazing. If you have an opportunity to come by and participate in a Wednesday or a Sunday, I think it would really be beneficial to the growth of the community and the growth of the children to have some intergenerational work going on here. We could always use more aunties, uncles, tias, tios, grandmas, grandpas. It takes a community. And having kids in our library is a blessing, and it's wonderful to have these voices, but it's always really important to pair them with our older generation, because those generations talking to each other are really, really important. And those are bonds that we don't get to build very often. So participate in the youth programming that we have. A lot of families are participating, and it is pretty wonderful. So that's the end of my library report. Questions from the board?
I have a quick question. I'm sorry to go back and do it because I've noticed it before.
That's okay.
And I want to be on this topic, but you gotta take some visits and they're really big numbers.
Every time someone walks in that door, we put a tick mark on
And
it.
they don't do any of these other things. They just walk in and walk out.
A patron visit can be someone who's walking in the door, going to the restroom, and walking right out of it, which is often what happens.
And
That's pretty significant.
And this.
That's that. Right.
Well, yeah, but those would share it because you got essential services.
Well, that would be considered, but we don't check it. If someone walks in the door and checks out a book, that's not a tally, right? It would be under our circulation statistics. But if one person walked in and checked out 50 books, 50 books are going to go into our circulation statistics, but only one person is going to come in as our patron statistics. Now, here's the other thing. If the kids are in here and I'm on it, and they've run in and out 60 times, that's 60 patron visits that are getting marked on that tally, right?
Now, I know that in the
This
past,
is for the board.
So I just want to say,
So, and if we're thinking, sorry, I'm just gonna clarify this to one other thing. If you were to walk into a library in Albuquerque or Santa Fe or anywhere else, there is a little bar system that you walk through. And that little bar system is also a number counter. So those number counters are happening in libraries everywhere. So if I, as a patron in Albuquerque, decided to run in and out of there 100 times, they're gonna get 100 patron visits, right? Like, it doesn't matter. That is just something that libraries do. So we're not doing anything different by a kid running in and out of here 60 times, making the 60 mark. Now, let's be real honest, I'm not that on, right? Like, I'll probably catch them a couple of times, but then I'm like, you're here. Yeah. Sorry, Jose Luis.
that's okay. Mr. Chairperson, I just wanted to say that, I received a report. I'm part of a larger group of young farmers, throughout the region. And, a couple of the farmers in that group came from Southern Colorado and did a visit to our library. And they were really impressed with our C library. And I just wanted to give that report back as something positive from other communities that see this as an inspiration for their community. And yeah, so congratulations to our staff and to this organization of providing us doing this.
That's librarian report. We can go to La Segunda.
Okay. So La Segunda, our gross income was a little higher than last month for February. We've started getting a little bit more customers in, which means we're getting more tourists in town. So it does show what we make on gross income as well as what the net income is after payroll, after utilities, and everything has been taken out of that. So what's left over and what actually comes to the library. Volunteers, right now, currently I have 12 regular volunteers and 4 substitute volunteers. During February, I gained 1 sub-volunteer. We've continued to provide supplies to DAPS, which is one of our important programs here in Dixon that I think we're all been touched by. So I think that's a very important program we help. We actually donated, and I just made a typo there. We actually just donated in February, and with jackets we donated 20 more jackets to Coats for Kids. They will go ahead and store those jackets till next year, and we'll just continue providing them as we get them. We continue to deliver donations to CAV, which is Community Against Violence in Taos, the Taos Homeless Shelter, Habitat and Taos Restore, and Goodwill. Those are generally donations that we can't sell within our store, but are good sellable donations. So we give them to other entities to help them out as well. One thing I want to tell you guys is we just don't drop off donations. I basically go in there, I form a relationship with these other agencies, with other entities, so I know what it is that they need whenever we provide. I don't want to just be taking donations just to drop off because we don't want to deal with them. We actually make a very organized effort to make sure that we're delivering donations that are needed and that are going to be used. We just recently received 2 very nice amounts of Native American jewelry. We're trying to decide what we're going to do with this jewelry. It's pretty, really nice jewelry. So, you know, I've started having talks with my volunteers as well as with Rosalia, trying to figure out what we should do. So we might be looking at maybe having a silent auction or doing something with that jewelry, just because it is pretty nice jewelry. And I know that if we were to put it in the store, it would not get the value that it actually deserves. So if anybody has any ideas, I would love to hear them as to how we could try to sell these items in order to help the library. Nice.
When you do your fashion show for your fundraiser,
That's
have
what
a silent auction for the jewelry.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Oh, you already?
Yeah, we're already there. So we have.
Good question. So, Have you talked to the person who donated it to see what their wishes are for that?
Unfortunately not. These donations just came in bags of clothing. So, you know, people leave the bags outside. They come in while we're busy working the store and they just leave the bags there. Nobody actually ever came to us specifically saying, "We have jewelry for you."
great.
So it was kind of just found in bags within the other donations. So,
We had a situation with the previous donor, felt like the Segunda was asking more for their donated jewelry than what they wished. They wanted to offer that high quality jewelry to another community member at an affordable rate. She was pretty offended by it. Once we made further clarification and communication, it was settled, but just trying to avoid those. When people donate, they donate for a purpose, and sometimes it can be offensive to them if what they've donated is selling for $200 or something like that. We just want to honor it.
That's it, you know, when you said whatever the price is.
Yeah. And
I think.
yeah, well, generally, there are people that come directly to us, and if it's something valuable, they'll tell us right away. And at that time, I generally will ask, how much would you want me to sell this for? You know, because basically they know what they paid for it and what it's worth. So if we catch the individuals, we're able to do that. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't. So that's difficult. We just finished having a sidewalk sale this last Saturday. We ended up having to cut it short. Unfortunately, one of my volunteers was not feeling well, but it did help to clear out some of the overflow of winter items, and it actually turned out to be a great day for La Segunda. So thank you, community. So volunteers and manager, myself, we went in and we already started working on moving and decluttering the store. So jumping into spring and, you know, pushing winter back. This year we've kind of decided not to store as much winter stuff as we did last year. It's just really difficult because we really don't have storage. Right now, our storage place is basically in the basement and it's pretty steep staircase. So, and you know, my volunteers, on the other hand, I think it's just too difficult for them to be back and forth. So, the issues that we do see at La Segunda is we still have one shift open. So if anybody would love to volunteer and pick up that shift, I'd be more than happy to have you come on board with us. So it's Fridays from 1 to 4. My volunteers as well as I have been covering that. So it has been covered. We haven't had to close, but we are in need of a volunteer. We are still receiving large amounts of donations that are not sellable or usable. So that means that we're donating a lot of donations out. And again, storage being an issue. But I can't beat that horse with the stick anymore.
Since I'm not working once again, that is I mean, this is wonderful that things are going. Is this something you're doing in the spare time, or is this something you're paying for? Because
well, the volunteers do help with the donation distribution as well. So generally, when I go deliver donations, it's the bigger amounts. So I don't have people that, like today, I had to go up to Peñasco. So it's not like I'm delivering, I deliver to 4 different entities. So I went to the nurturing center, I went to the Peñasco Elementary, I went to the Restore in Chamizal, as well as the spot office. So
There's
yes.
the reimbursement for, yeah.
Just-
And it's during complicated night.
I've tried to ask them, unfortunately, like, you know, the spot office has always been pretty busy. They generally have one person there. So like with them, I fill requests of people that need household goods, clothing, you know, because emergencies, kids need clothing, house burned down type of stuff. So, you know, I've asked my volunteers. So I have some volunteers that will help with that stuff. But then I have other volunteers that basically all they want to do is work the store, break down donations, And, so basically, the delivery part generally falls on me. Mhm. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Board?
Looks like we're good.
Mhm.
We can move on to the financial.
We actually took,
Financials are not.
so we do our research. So we go online and we look at items that are similar to that item. So we're looking for things that are stamped that have the actual creators, own signature and stuff. So we do our research. Yeah. Mhm.
Financial, Tara, you want to take over?
First, I would like to say that at the February meeting, Tony stated that he understood that I was against having an audit, and I would like to say clearly and for the record that I have never stated that I am against an audit. What I have stated is that I am open to an audit at any time, and that my bookkeeping entries are open to anyone, anytime. I have stated that audits are expensive, and that board members.
I'm gonna
can do their
call for
own
order real
review of
quick.
books.
Let the notes know that Tony called for order. She tried to get the subject right now. We're doing the financial report.
Okay, at the February meeting, the board was asking me questions that I did not answer very well. The board wanted to know why the restricted funds and the restricted and the unrestricted funds totaled more than what was in the bank account. The short answer is because I was not instructed to link expenses to any specific grant. This means that funds were expensed out and not applied against any particular grant or funding source. So it looks on our grant tracking as though we have more funds in the unrestricted grants than we have in the bank account. This can be remedied. In my role as director of finance / bookkeeper, I need clear direction for every grant and every expense to be able to link the two and to show how funds are expensed out. As was said in the last meeting, directors and I need to be in better communication. Is this your report there? Yes. Also, that within the 2 weeks, job descriptions would be available. I have not received any of those. And so I'm not really certain which executive director I should be seeking clarity on which expenses are being paid for by which grant.
Okay, so I would want to differentiate between parts that are conversations with the directors, the bookkeeper, right, supervisors, and which parts are for the board to hear.
This is for the board to hear, since the board was asking me these exact questions at the last meeting.
Okay,
It
so
was
the
told that we
questions
would
that you
follow
asked
up
were
from the
asked.
last meetings to the future meeting.
Yes, so
And
let's.
so
hear
I'm following
those
up.
specific.
So let me just interject real quick. So here's my suggestion. Taya's saying that she wants clear and direct guidance on these specifics. I say we provide it to her. And then I ask you, Taya, whatever we ask, just follow through. I know that when we were going through this, one of the big issues about the discretionary, non-discretionary, or the restricted, unrestricted was the system and how it was makes it very difficult for us to know what of our resource is available in a restricted, unrestricted, when you just look at it on paper. And we're asking, okay, well, now we want a bank account specific to unrestricted funds, so that it's not coming from a general, because it doesn't feel very transparent or honest when we say how much of this is this, and the response is, well, we can actually say that the full 60,000 unrestricted is in there because there's $82,000 in the bank, but we can just say that 60,000 of that. And for me, as a board member and being the fiscal responsive, one of the fiscally responsible people on this board, I would like to see that actually follow through on, of having bank accounts specific to restricted, unrestricted donations, so that we are able to report to our community members with clarity and transparency, and not relying on your explanation, because with all due respect, the explanation comes with a lot of this other emotional energy, and the message gets lost in the process. So we'll provide the guidance and you follow through. I think that's the solution, and that's how we should move forward.
Okay. Specifically when it comes to opening bank accounts, I have nothing to do with that.
So
We will definitely.
We will start working on that.
Bank accounts to work with, we can open, we already have, we can.
You have multiple things.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be separated out. There's been a lot of talk around the finances and getting the finances to have a lot of transparency and clarity, so it's not just the board can understand.
Why you feel that there's no transparency? Can you show me a point in time?
I probably have a hard time explaining to the community members that are reaching out to me personally. Asking what's going on with the finances, and I'm giving them the overview of what I'm understanding. But it would be much easier for me to be able to go to the rest of the community exactly where we stand. If I myself am trying to, I feel like I'm,
So can you meet with me so I can explain to you?
It has to be.
Black and white, so that, I get a lot of emails.
But
and the
you
last thing I
have
wanna
to
do is
spread.
spend, all these hours on lots of different community members and stuff. I would love to have something like on paper that's real easy for everyone to understand, something else to be what's going on with finances. I would be able to then give them something that they can actually see, and that's something that I can actually explain to them, because as it is now, it's really tough for me to have to go through line items, because I understand them, but to be able to reiterate that to lots of other people, lots of different times during the week.
Well, how,
Cynthia, something here. Hold on. Hold on, just, we have
Second.
another board member wanting to.
And love the idea of separate bank.
This one.
I think that's right on.
So if somebody asks you a question, they're gonna be able to point to the different bank
Well,
accounts or.
for instance, like, in the previous place that I sat at, we do get, but we also get like an actual explanation breakdown, like the ED report. So that would be really helpful if that was broken down on like Fiverr, written report, you can refer to page whatever to see this on that page. And that way, if I can ask, I can say, well, this is our report, it notes what pages those are on, and that way I can also send them, everything that's really.
And just to note, transparency is clear, it's not gray, and we're trying to avoid any of the gray area. This information would also be shared on our website and in spaces where the public can actually access it, and it be in legible form, so that there isn't any communication.
so can you attend the next finance?
It depends on it is, but I think
It's the Monday before the board meeting at 4:30.
So, and then I'd like to say too that we're asking for a change in the way things are done.
Okay.
Partially because, this board has a ton of scrutiny from the public on it. More scrutiny from my understanding, because I've talked to some people, than any other board before. And so when they're scrutinizing us and they're asking us, questions, I've had community members that say, why can't you just give me a piece of paper that shows what money you have, that shows a projection of how much money you're gonna have for operations?
Thing that shows how much money we have, it's the top part of the balance sheet. Discusses the assets.
I will say that, this is my fourth board meeting, and others, maybe less, and we're still at a place where it's still not entirely clear. I think we've been asking for this for, quite some time, since the beginning. And just to finish my point real quick, Charlotte, your treasury report also is not in professional standard. And I think that the one you just provided, the written piece that you just gave, the report, not these, but the statement that you started, we would like to see a more professional treasury, financial report in Word that is specific to the line items so that that could be clear on the record that we are going through these things. And again, I would hope that in that report, we can hold back on the emotions or the sentiments of last meeting or what didn't turn out to our liking and keep it in very professional, clear and direct format.
We want a written report on the line item.
So, if I may suggest.
Yeah.
And then we'll be considered to be like the overview of what we're going from the sheet and they can refer, like, they refer to our balance sheet or whatever it may be, so that people can really understand and help is really helpful. Whether I'm able to explain what I'm not, it's still after that maybe I can look at the report and still be like, oh, I know that's what she's talking about. Like we go to that page and look that thing over. And that would be helpful for me. I don't know about everybody else. I know that it would be very helpful. Like we
Sure.
that along with also.
Right.
We are getting a lot of scrutiny and you were just trying to make very bad.
Okay.
I have like specific questions that I would like answered.
And then
So here's the staff real quick. So Tony,
Can I follow up with what Charlotte was saying? please?
Yes.
I'm here most Wednesdays and, most Mondays and every other Thursday. The first Monday of the month, I'm not here. I'm here Mondays and every other Thursday for payroll. And so you can email me, you can come in, and I'm usually here until late in the evening.
I'll do with this, so after maybe you get your first one and then I can connect it with you and I just mean like this would be a little bit more clear, maybe.
That would be
I
great.
would be happy to do that.
That would be great.
also a Google search of just how to do a public financial report would be helpful. So here's the staff, Tony, then you, and then.
Let me just present from a managerial point of view. Last month, there was like a tryout that said, oh, our operational money for unrestricted funds is very low and we only have X amount of money for a month or 2 months to keep the doors open.
Yes.
That's something that was said. So then that becomes my number one concern. Every week when I come in, I'm checking in things and I'm asking, well, how much money do we have and how much money is coming in every month? Well, I'm asking you how much money we have because I'm trying to figure out how many hours we need to cut back so that we can actually maintain money to keep the doors open. And I'm not getting a clear answer to actually make a projection of how to manage the organization financially. I need to know things like how much money the utilities are normally and how much the payroll is and how much the operational fund that we have, what is projected that's going to come in from La Segunda and the co-op to keep the doors open.
Budget versus actual report.
So on this paper,
Can you look at the budget versus actual? He's been in the drive since Monday. I created that. I don't think I've released you guys, or you guys always have access. But there's the budget versus actual.
I think we're speaking on also experiences in the past that occurred, that it wasn't easy to access this information and we're trying to create the path forward so that it is easy.
So I also said at the last meeting that I wanted to understand what reports you guys want, because before every meeting, I've been asked to get different reports. And so we, at the finance committee meeting on Monday, the committee focused on, I was gonna do this in the committee reports, but the committee said they thought as a committee that there would be some basic reports that would be included. Now, I know Jose couldn't make that committee meeting, and Tony, you also had said you were going to, but then I guess
I wasn't able to
make it, right?
had
So
a conflict with.
I understand. We all have busy lives. But so at that meeting, the reports that I included in this month's board packet are what the committee focused on.
Okay.
And so if
Reports that we.
Okay.
and
So
so
this comes straight from the finance.
and so if you guys like these reports, and I'm happy to go over them. If you like these reports, we can keep them going forward, and then in the future, I can add the verbiage to go along with that.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Um,
Can I say something about
Yes,
say that historically, the executive director has always given a financial report, and this is every question that I mean, I would like to see that happen because I just feel like it went very smoothly, and it's probably not that fair to have our people giving the financial report, you know? So I really think that the executive director, whoever's responsibility, because we don't know what your responsibilities are, nobody's told that yet.
well, that's,
Did we produce this report?
Yeah,
So it's
that-
been good.
Well, if I may,
Since it's been there, so we're talking about a few months. So anyway, yeah, I mean, if we can go back to that, I think it's good that they're important and you know, it's never been much.
so if I may, I just want to share, part of the reason why we're incorporating Taya in this process is because we're trying to develop a leadership structure that is decentralized. The hierarchical type system is a system, that doesn't fully, result in healthy outcomes in this day and age. And every time we brought the financial situation to the table in these last meetings, Taylor jumped in and occupied 90% of that mic space. So I thought as a board member, since you already know the information, Taylor, and you've been operating in that role and you feel it necessary to speak up and provide clarity, that we should provide you that leadership capacity to uphold that. And that's the reason why we incorporated that. We feel like we're building a team here and having a team structure where every person provides a executive report, is sharing the workload. And aside from keeping the place open and writing grants and raising money and the obvious of what their activities are doing, yeah, that description may not be clear, but I think we all should have the basic idea of what our executive directors do. And if you don't, maybe there just needs to be a little bit more relationship building where.
So
And also,
Yeah, we
I
can
just
be-
honestly need much more clarity on what the executive directors are doing and how it relates to me with finance, because one thing that I'm not sure how much is understood is I'm basically a glorified data entry. My role as bookkeeper is to do data entry, to generate reports, and to make sure that, you know, employment reporting is done. But it's not up to me to
Okay.
say, this grant is paying for this. If you
So
want to
moving-
know what grant is
so
paying
I
for
think
this,
what we're
I
gonna
want
do,
to know from the executive directors, I need that feedback.
So we're gonna follow both y'all's lead on
we're
this
gonna, yeah,
and
I
go
don't
ahead.
think that's fair. I really don't think it's fair to the staff person to have her do all of
Well, we're gonna remove
we're
that.
gonna remove that.
We're removing that.
We're looking to,
We just heard you.
your will is done.
Okay,
That's how much power you have, right? there.
now,
Hold on, Santia, we're in the process, so you wanna explain it or we don't?
Yeah, so, what we'll do moving forward is there'll be the meeting with the finance committee before, and they'll prepare, a statement that the executive director can do to the board and the community. So that they're giving them the answers that they want, and that removes it from Taya being the bookkeeper having to speak at the board meetings.
I want to think how the executive director can tell us like about the grants.
Yes,
What are they for? What are they doing? How are we doing that? And that should be a part of it. And it's a big thing.
Under your paradigm, yeah, that's the case, but we're trying to
So
build
I
something
think
else.
it's a whole range of topics that really we could consider financial that don't really. We're discussing the input of that, or the progress it was, or what we're going to do next, or what we're going to do.
okay, and then we'll get with the finance committee to hammer out all of the details of how it works.
Yeah,
And
and
the
maybe-
proper reports.
Some previous reports in the past to get a sense of
Okay, all right,
and then I'm
That's what we
happy
are,
to
right?
explain to the board if they're unsure of how to read financial reports.
so what I would like to move forward into is, So somebody suggested at the last meeting that we have a simple bar graph that is easy to understand. And I think that would help me as well, being financially pretty much.
Judy, one of our finance committee members, and I met, and I don't have this uploaded, because I went to print it out, and so.
Would you mind passing that over?
Sure. So this is just a draft that Judy and I did at the committee meeting, and I basically need to do some Excel workshops on how to turn Excels into graphs. And I just need to watch some videos and do some continuing ed to be able to figure if anybody wants to give me any 10 cents on how to do that. I will gladly take it.
For the bar graph.
So, and Judy and I just sort of stumbled our way through and created this as a draft. And then, I didn't feel like I could, I went in and tried to recreate it and I couldn't. And so I was like, I'm not gonna give that at a meeting because I'm not how I generated it.
Okay,
I
we're gonna.
basically need to come in
That-
and work with it.
that-
But
well,
at the
and-
committee meeting, and Rebecca, I'm here most Mondays and every other Thursday, and you can also email me if you.
So Taya, we're gonna move on from finances.
Financial question.
Okay,
That I asked last meeting, and I'm hoping I can just like a 30-second answer that gives you an idea. One of my questions is why or how come we don't have money for an audit? Because that was that says there's not money for an audit. And then my other had to do with, well, yeah. What is, do you have a response or is this more of a director question?
I think an audit is imperative. Absolutely.
So can you go to the slide of the February restricted funds?
Oh, they're actually got.
One of my glasses on
The bottom. It's the balance. It's the balance.
balance that way.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to blow it up at the bottom.
Okay.
You can grab a- Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it can go a little bigger too. And a little bigger, and a little, there you go. Okay, and then scroll to some bricks. Okay, so last month you were very confused because I included unrestricted grants. I removed the column of the unrestricted grants at the far right. So at the bottom, you can see the total of our restricted funds as of February 29th. And then you can see our checking account balance for our operational funds on February 29th. And that 72,961 is the exact same number that you will see on the balance sheet for the checking account. For the checking account.
so, do we have money for an audit?
So we have less, we have $10,000 in the account, basically. That's unrestricted funds. So whatever the board thought they had from the Kuhn money from 2023, or the Manhattan money from 2020, or the Frost Foundation money, whatever.
Do you have an idea of why we only have that amount?
Yes, because there are expenses that happen every single day in payroll, and we need to fund this.
Okay,
Yeah,
For unrestricted
yeah,
funds.
last meeting I had, I'm talking to the board on this. I made it clear in like all my history, the financial situation we are today is result of work done a year and a half ago. And if we only have $10,000 in the bank today, that means a year and a half ago, there was a lot that was not happening. And we didn't know this when we inherited this organization. And this is part of the reason why, and I want to say this to the community, why we're being absolutely transparent, because we have identified and I don't want to use the word of financial mismanagement or whatever, but we have identified that a year and a half ago or a year ago, there were activities that were not being done in this library that resulted in our financial situation being at where it's at today. And hearing from the community, they seem to be thinking that we are the reason why the financial situation is, hold on, Jeff, is in today. And I want to be clear on the record to my fellow board members and to the community at large that the financial situation of the library is really a result of, you know, a year and a half, a year ago, depending on with money and not writing creative grants. We saw a lot of programs get put away and not enriched and not developed. And these are the actions that occurred that ultimately culminated into what I say was the fallout of the library, which then resulted in us having to come in and try to save this thing. So just to be absolutely clear, this is how we're seeing it, and this is why we're engaging in this process, because I think that's at the core of the community's misunderstanding of why the library is where it's at today. And I will be darned if I will be pitted as the person that brought this organization down, knowing in my experience that a year and a half ago, somebody didn't follow through with their job and didn't fulfill the requirements of their position. So
I have a slightly different perspective, because I don't know the history and I don't know all the drama that's gone on at the library before, what's happened or not, but financially, it is what it is right now. And I think that one of our biggest steps that we have to take in the next 2.5 years, as long as I'm on the board, is it's going to be my #1 priority to get us into a really good financial state. And so what I'd like to propose at this meeting is that we form another committee that's a fundraising committee that elicits the help from the community. Cedar had a really great idea that I didn't have any idea of how to deal with. And she said, what we need is we need people on a committee that are wealthy and know wealthy people that can start grooming them for money. I don't know anything about that sort of thing before, but I thought it was a great idea. And I said, well, how do I make wealthy friends? It sounds great to me. All my friends are cops and artists, and none of us have money. But I think it's a great idea to have some sort of fundraising committee that comes up with these ideas. I've never had to raise funds before in that sort of way.
So that's develop fundraising and development. I'm not sure if you've heard me talk about that, but fundraising and development.
Right. That's where I think we need to go from now on. I don't know about the past and what people have done in the past. I just know where we're at right now, and that we have to move towards a place that is very financially secure, so that the community knows that they're going to be, this establishment is going to be here for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And I think that for me, I don't know about the rest of you, when I first came on, all I cared about was child literacy. But I'm at the point where I'm like, how can I care about child literacy if we can't keep the doors open for the kids? So for my #1 concern has been changed to the financial stability of the thing. And that's just where I've come to at this point.
Sylvia's trying. Yes.
I think we really need to leave the past, because it really saps a lot of energy. And we have to have a forward vision and some goals and lots of enthusiasm, and we need that audit. And actually the people we need to develop good relationships with are the donors. We need to keep the donors enthusiastic, and we need to keep donors wanting to, we should be inviting them to these meetings. And I'm an idea person. I send out my emails, please read them. When you have time, I have tons of ideas. And, but the main, I would say that we need to really develop wonderful rapport with the donors, because if we can do that, then we want to give more. And if they see our full vision, our plan, and what we're trying to accomplish, and how it's coming along, they're going to want to perhaps give more money to our lives.
I would absolutely love that idea. The only hard part that I see with that is that now because I've stated a year and a half ago, grants were written and we're in the position that we are in now. A lot of donors have pulled their money because they don't see programs happening. It's not to our fault, right? So they don't see it happening. So I have the option to say, like, I put my funding because I don't, I don't see anything, whatever the case may be. I find it just a little bit difficult to have to, I don't think they would necessarily increase their donations, having reached out to them. I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong, but I just see it like really
There's a phenomena that occurred, weird thing that this year, by this time last year, we had probably $10,000 more in donations alone. I don't know why the community or the donors decided not to support what the library has always done, but that is a reality that we have to face, is that some people, for whatever phenomenal reason, just decided not to invest in the library. I don't want to say, I don't want to say that it's because we are the board or whatever. That's, to me, it's at this point a phenomenon. I don't know why they wouldn't want to continue to support what we're trying to do.
That's the accurate amount that we're actually down is 20,000.
20,000, 25,000.
Mhm.
Wow.
In donations.
The other thing is I think we should even call them donors. I mean, these are people, and we need to connect to them as we're people, and we need to connect them to them people to people. And we need to have some pozole with the donors.
Okay, I'm just gonna interject real quick. We're falling way behind schedule and we've got a lot of things to do. Hey, you've taken a lot of time.
Question, and it wasn't the process of answering it. You started saying whatever we thought about Brindle, Frost, and Manhattan. What was the next part of that sentence?
So donate many of these grants that are here under the restricted and of the grants that are on the unrestricted, you have to spend them within a certain time frame. Okay, so you guys can say that a year and a half ago it was mismanaged, which you're basically saying was by Rachel, because she was the executive.
No, we didn't say that. So you're, yeah.
Nobody said that.
Every
Nobody
time
said
we go
that.
back to the past, it does not bring us forward.
There was a budget that was approved by the board a year and a half ago.
So I'm gonna stop because the question's not getting answered.
It's just,
We've got,
There is money from
Yeah.
2020, the Manhattan funds from 2020. You can see that.
can we use the
we got
Manhattan
that
money to pay an
and
audit?
we're slowly trying to eat it
Right.
under unrestricted funds, okay? What happens is, and I was trying to explain this at the last meeting, and there's no easy way to explain it. When an expense goes out, it's tagged with who's paying for it, restricted or unrestricted, okay? And so when every receipt gets a piece of paper that says who's paying for it, restricted or unrestricted. It can be an unrestricted Frost grant, it can be an unrestricted Manhattan grant, it can be a restricted Brindle grant. Okay, and so what's happened is that for the last 6 months, expenses have continued to leave the bank account for things that are contractually obliged.
Okay, I'm just
for.
gonna go ahead and
Insurance
interrupt.
and whatnot.
Can we just
And
hold
so-
order, Kaya, so we
And
can
so
get this meeting?
restricted funds are one thing and unrestricted funds are another.
Yeah.
And we've been spending down the money
Yes,
without
and I saw
having
that in the financial statements. Okay,
corresponding fundraising.
so
We're
right,
down $20,000 as an
yeah,
example.
so you're saying right now, 61,218 is restricted and is designated, and only about 10,000+ is available for unrestricted expenses.
Correct.
And that includes payroll, utilities, and auditor.
Correct.
Okay, correct. Even though we have unrestricted funds on this spreadsheet that says we should have more than that, they're not met. Is that correct?
Right, because when I do the data entry for, say, the water bill or the electric bill, I say, well, unrestricted funds are paying for it because,
But you don't put it to a grant
right, because
because you need
and-
instruction.
because I need instruction.
Okay.
Yes, I am not, and so since September, I think I didn't make it clear, and we've not been having good meetings. And so it's been a void of information. And I was going to say in my thing that it's clear to me that since Rachel left in September, I have been trying to carry tasks that were not mine to carry. And this has caused the delay in the current executive director being able to fully understand what I need from them to get good data to be able to generate good reports. I've been trying to, I try to mark, unrestricted as paying for this grant. And I
Okay,
say,
so
is
this
that
is,
right?
this
Is
is,
that not
we have got to wrap this up, okay? Because, Taya, please, okay, I'm asking you, let's end this financial thing.
Yeah.
There's obvious that I've got to get in a room with the directors and we've got to hammer out a lot of,
That's the problem.
That's-
You guys meet together, but you don't meet
Let's-
and include.
okay, I'm saying, yes, you will be included in this, okay? But can you please step down?
Sure.
Thank you. And then so that we can move on to the executive director's, reports.
All right, you guys, we're just gonna start straight off the bat. We know the reason that the majority of people are either online or on Zoom or here today are because of social media posts that went out and a letter to the community that went out. There has been an incredible amount of conversation offline about this, and so what I'm gonna do is take a moment. I have my report up and I am gonna partially read it and then partially summarize what went on, okay? So, yeah. So as a librarian, as a staff member, as an ED, we get a host of different things that come into us. I get people that love every service that we have. I get people that want to say, what a great job we're doing. But I also get people's truth, which is that we sometimes are not perfect. They're not infallible. We have done things to some people in this community to make them feel excluded. And so when someone comes to me and says, hey, you treated me in a really poor way, I have a choice. I get a choice to decide to say, whose complaint is worthy? Whose complaint has value? What human here has value, right? So if you want to complain to me and tell me that I am the worst librarian ever and I have yet to bring a piece of diverse material in here or a diverse author in here, I get to sit with that. And I get to, if I've done my job correctly in DEI principles, I get to hold that as their truth. I don't argue with them about that being their truth. They get their lived experience. They get to have that truth because they are humans and they deserve that dignity. Absolutely deserve the dignity to voice their complaint, to voice their dissatisfaction and their anger. It is important for people to be able to say bad things because I need to be able to see them as their whole human person. All their anger, all their fear, all of those things. I get to see that. And I get a choice in that moment. hold that and hold that space for them, or hide it. I don't like hiding things. Hiding things is a system of oppression. It's a system of othering. It's a system of making someone else feel like their lived experience, that their humanity doesn't matter. So for me, what I did is I took this complaint and I said the quiet thing out loud, that the library has failed some people in this community. I by no means took it personally, because I have been the librarian in charge of diversifying this place for 2 years, right? It has been my responsibility to ensure that diverse books were coming in, to ensure that diverse voices were heard. So I could have taken it personally and been like, man, I am the worst human ever, and how dare you? And I could have fought them against it, right? But instead I didn't. I centered their comfort. I put their pain before mine, before my discomfort. I centered their comfort. I ensured that they were heard. And I did that by elevating it. All of you know it was elevated because I posted it on social media. I posted the apology and I sent it to your emails. This is important to apologize for owning our mistakes, right? I can then also take a step back and look at the example that I gave to the community, that publishers, libraries across the country are doing the same thing. Publishers have had to admit that they have had preference for white authors, and they are now seeking more diverse voices. So it has made my job as the librarian that brings diverse things in much easier. It is much easier for me. I cannot imagine what Elena, Shirley, and other librarians before me went through in trying to bring in diverse voices. That had to have been difficult with the system that they were given. But had people not stood up and said, you're not paying attention to me, this hurts. You're causing me some deep pain by excluding brown voices from your publishing industry. The publishing industry is starting to change, which then allows me as the librarian who brings things on the opportunity to change. In addition, we have no policy in this library about how do we ensure that we're bringing diverse voices on. If I wanted to have an argument with this person and I felt like I needed to defend my position, I couldn't reference and say, hey, by policy, we are saying that we bring in 60% of our books are by diverse voices. We ensure that. We make sure that 60% of our, or 50% of our authors are diverse authors with a diverse story to tell. I have no policy to fall back on, so that person was correct. They were right. We have no way of ensuring diverse voices are heard, diverse perspectives, the ability to heal as a community, the ability to have these really difficult conversations about race, positionality, are really important to have, but you can't come at it with arguments. I can't come at it from my perspective is the only perspective, and it's the right perspective, and you need to change your. Everybody gets an opportunity to say something in DEI, and that's why it's uncomfortable for people. Challenging your place, where you are, your lived experience, is difficult. When we invite you into these conversations, that we want to have deep, meaningful conversations with you, we want to do it through DEI work. Because I police myself every day in this library. Because I know white bodies are policing me every day. If I post anything as a brown body that sits in a position of power here, my posts are scrutinized, right? If I post it to social media, my account is, how dare they waste precious resources of our library by lengthy emails? If I'm not responding on social media, how dare they not spend their time answering my question? I am damned if I do, I am damned if I don't, because there is no lack, no giving of perspective, no seeing where someone else is, seeing that humanity, seeing the humanity of the directors that are here. There's no belief in the brown person that's at this desk, because instead of coming in here and asking two executive directors what the heck is going on, we would have been more than happy to have an open, honest conversation with you. But it's blowing up on social media and other places without having the comfort of context. Yeah, context of just knowing what had gone on. The belief of whatever story got spun up out there, and whatever you want to spin it out to, spin it all you want. But there is another truth that lives in the brown bodies that are here. And so if we want to come together and actually believe the people that are here and believe the brown bodies that are in this position, when we say somebody had a complaint and we're just addressing that complaint. We are not infallible. It doesn't mean that anyone had malicious intent in the past, but it certainly means that we didn't do the best by our entire community. And I'd like to do the best by our entire community because they are rude. So in response, who actually had a moment to take the moment and respond directly to the library. We have some really great examples of people who are generational, Hispanic, Indigenous people who really felt that this touched them. This newsletter is a much needed breath of fresh air into Dixon. Keep up the good work. I never thought I'd see the day that the library would send something so introspective. I think this letter is a beautiful comment. It could easily be referred to the history of America in general, as well as countless smaller examples of discrimination. I have listened to numerous American history books on the Libby app with my beloved EVL card lately. And even though I knew our history in general terms, recounting exacting details drives home the horrifying and blatant racism that all POC have endured over the centuries. It hurts my soul. I am white, but I always felt more affiliation with POC. Some of my all-time favorite books are by POC. I consistently try to check out books by POC, but they are literally not as represented. There are not just enough of them in the world. I would love any recommendation. We also had one person message us and let us know that if I wanted to live in the extremist woke state, super woke state of California, I'd move there. That was our negative comment from this that was addressed to the actual library. We didn't bother with anything on social media because that was, they never involved us. That was just, our board got involved, but there was never a direct, hey, in Blue Valley Library, answer these questions. As a brown person that has been policed consistently since being put in this position, it is really difficult to want to have important conversations with all of our community members, especially those who are not willing to invest in some DEI work and some introspection. I can hold that space for you to hopefully come to the table and lean into the work and lean into that discomfort, because it is uncomfortable, it is painful, and it is so, so difficult. But if we are gonna move anywhere in this world and in this little community of Dixon, we've gotta start seeing everybody as whole human beings, and that their perspective is valid. We have many, many intersections. I have many intersections that I get to represent, right? I get a lot of different lived experience. I get brown, I get white, because I claimed white for as long as I could, to positionality, to whiteness, right? Queer, I get that whole love of being queer. And I have to deal with each of those at different points in my life. And it's with different people, right? I have a lot of perspective. It's being able to hold that my perspective is not 100% right or true. Everybody. And that I get to believe them, and that we get to work from that place of commonality together. So that was the complaint. I think we can probably stop there and discuss before I go on into anything further.
Yeah, I would love to just take a moment to thank you for what you shared. And I really feel that it's coming from the heart, and I completely stand behind what you're expressing. And you directors have my support, and I know that this has been a emotional labor that you took on when you accepted first as interim co-directors, that is continuing your permanent directorship. And it's my sense, as I've been on the board for over 3 years, is that you have had access to community members' feedback that typically wasn't communicated. And that is not throwing shade on anyone in the past. It's just that some people are feeling more comfortable being open, and that means the board is getting additional information to help us figure out how the library can best serve the community. So thank you for taking the time to share that. And I just want to add, so I'm someone who really loves books. I read a lot, and representation from diverse authors matters to me personally. There's not a whole lot that can always represent my experience as like a Tijuana in northern New Mexico. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I read a young adult graphic novel that took place in El Cajones in the 90s. And it's describing kids and their experience there. The first time I said, this book describes me. They're using words and language and expression that I heard, that I can relate to. And I felt really seen. And it wasn't until I encountered this book that I realized what I was missing, right? And wanted to seek out authors with diverse perspectives, because it helps to be more inclusive to people. And that's a worthy thing, right? To care about who writes and how they're expressing it. And that doesn't, it's not a zero sum. Just because I have this perspective doesn't mean I'm like anti-white author or no one can ever write about these topics. Both can exist. I can care about what I read, and I love reading a variety of stuff.
And then
I'm an author, And what I would like to see is, I would like to see the library be a wellspring that really encourages people to write, all people to write their stories. Young children to be writers, poetry, so that, I mean, that we, and language, rich in language. And I want to see some humor. But I think we all have a treasure trove of story within us that needs to be written, spoken, shared, plays, dramas, music, just bursting out. And that's my library. That's how I want to see the world, just a lot of it. Self-expression, because that's what's being repressed upon everybody, is all of our self-expression is being passed down, but we need to really, that's what makes us people. And a bit communication, you know. I don't want to talk anymore because I know it takes up time, but I just had to say that.
Then I'd like just to say to the community and anybody that's online that part of the management of the library as we're going forward is coming from that place of transparency and openness, and it's open-heartedness. And we're going to make lots of mistakes, and it's going to be just the normal thing. When we make mistakes, we're going to acknowledge them in the future. So this is probably one of many over the next few years that we are going to try the best that we can to take care of the totality of the community and keep making this correction as we go along. And I just want to thank Rosalia for being so open-hearted and brave in how she approached this.
I did want to quickly, before we jump in, Rosalia. So I was approached by 3 different people saying that the library had made a decision to not allow Cedar to have her book fair. And well, let me just say this, right? So that again is another. I heard 3 rumors from the community that reflected not any bit of truth of what is actually going on here.
No, just rumors.
The community was spreading around that we didn't allow Cedar to have a book here, right? But then I reflected on what I actually saw, which was we were here providing technical support for her reading event. And there was a bunch of people here, and we were setting up the sound and actually very supportive of that. And it's another example of this phenomena that's occurring where we do completely right by Cedar and her project, and then the community hears from somebody else that we didn't do anything at all, right? And I'm bringing this up because when I try to explain to them, like, no, that actually didn't. Where are you hearing this from? I didn't get that from that message.
But the community just took whatever view they wanted. That has nothing to do with that. So I think we can just leave it.
Well, this is what I had heard, and we can leave it, but I had heard that there was communications out in the community that was actually being done, and it wasn't reflective of what our actual real actions are, which implicates us like on things that we didn't even do, right? And again, it's that phenomena where there are conversations being had outside of this space that are making judgment upon our body and our persons that is not reflective of our truth. And that is the policing piece that you're talking about, because I also shared a piece of history online and I was immediately torn up by people in this community saying that I was sharing lies. Even Margaret Campos had said that. And all I did was take an article that some author wrote and had facts and cited, shared it online and got torn up. So I appreciate you addressing the being policed. And I'm sorry that you have had to experience that. And I sympathize and am compassionate because I myself.
Response to your communication.
It was just a response.
Not a secret.
Well,
There's,
I would like to
We have
make
to
a
be very-
suggestion really quick, just really quick. A newsletter, I have ideas for a newsletter that speaks about what happened. And that can really clarify, you have this little blurb in the newsletter, so-and-so gave this presentation.
Well, let's,
And the library did this, and they did that, and this person did that, and this is how many people
well,
came.
we can talk about that in the future.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is if we can go on to the committee reports.
Well, one thing, can we clarify,
we can't go on, I can finish me.
Oh, you haven't finished your report?
is there censoring of books that is occurring at this library?
There is no censoring of books that is occurring at this library.
Okay, and if there are concerns, I understand you're open to people coming to talk to you about that or other things.
We have an open door policy. Call us, email us.
It's a little tricky because I think if you look at trying to tell an author what they should be doing, I would.
You don't do
They're
that.
not doing that.
That's not what was done.
That's not what this.
No, it has nothing to do with
No.
that.
No.
Nothing to do with that. Well,
No, but it was,
I mean,
this doesn't have,
that's social media. Oh, that's.
no, it doesn't have anything to do with censorship.
That's.
Did you read the letter? I
No,
didn't hear that.
it has nothing to do with censorship.
absolutely.
Nothing at all.
Trying to tell authors what they should or shouldn't do.
We never.
Never did
Never do
that.
that.
Maggie.
I won't put that on the-
No,
Nobody
no,
did
they're
that.
talking
Not
about
with
what they
the
should
Twitter
or
technology.
shouldn't do.
Well,
Is there black
we can,
was
we can go back and look at this.
or something that?
No, we can go back and look at this.
No, I just have to make sure somebody, did they get like anything from the library that said?
Maggie's saying that the apology letter that was sent out was
No,
actually
it's not
us
the
censoring.
apology letter.
They-
It's
we-
response to this unsigned, whoever this.
So let's talk, Maggie, we'll talk about that.
I'm just saying that's what I'm talking about. Is that.
Okay.
So
So-
I think it's. And it's something we
Let's-
can talk about.
Okay, we will talk about it, but this
We
isn't,
can't do it
we can't do it here.
I'm gonna be careful.
Right, we can't do it here, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, will you finish up the,
I will finish up the ED report. Okay, so the things that are really important for the one thing and everything else you guys can ask questions on later. It's the insurance update. So, Annette and I sat down with Shirley Norton. She is our insurance agent and she is an incredible wellspring of information. She gave us the insurance 101 for nonprofits. And there is a lot of things that has been shared with past and previous administrations that needs to be addressed. This is a recurring thing that has sat there and these items need to be addressed. Shirley would be happy and I want to say if I could require all of you to attend, I'd require all of you to attend this insurance 101 with her because she really lays it out where we have exposed ourselves to risks, where we can cover ourselves from risks, policies and practices in which the library is completely woefully under insured. And just some practices in the past that not having appropriate contracts and losing large amounts of money because of the lack of contracts that we have that could have been covered through insurance, but because of the lack of contracting that we have, not being covered. So it's really important. I'm gonna send out a Google poll to some of you guys, and what that is gonna be a bunch of dates and times. And she can meet after hours because she knows that you're a volunteer board. And on a weekend, and she lives in Taos, and so we can make it happen, okay? So let's try and come up with a couple of dates that'll work for the board to sit down with our insurance agent and get this insurance 101, because she will also go through the board limits of what that insurance covers.
I know that the EDs met with Shirley, but I think I should be included in that. If I can be included by attending with the board rather than having my own special meeting, I think I should be.
Is this has been an agent for some time?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been our agent.
Yeah, she's been our agent for a really long time. She's, like I said, a wealth of information and knowledge. Like, I'm gonna get some information out to you guys, please, please, please. Okay, I know what works for you guys. Or if you have days that you're just like hard no, send those to me too, so I don't even try and fill them. I know you're a lot of hard days.
Sorry. I would like to. do it.
I will make sure that I get as many board members as possible. Okay, that's the short and.
Sylvia's going on my.
Are we ready to move on? All right, if we can, we're at just about 25 minutes till we have to close, so if we can breeze
Oh,
through things.
Wait, hold on.
Can we
Sorry,
not breeze through?
I did not, sorry. The audit, it is in this. So out of all the letters that went out, we got one response which said, we don't do audits for nonprofits. But we're gonna send you a list of 3 more. I also got in contact with the state auditor today, and the state auditor has some really interesting options for us to get an audit through the state. So, yeah, it would be really a wonderful option. So we'll be in contact tomorrow. If not, they referred me to the next, the attorney general, and the attorney general can also provide audits here. So we've got some great resources, in these conversations.
Okay, so April 15th, tax season ends, and I'm hoping that there would be more availability for auditors. But this sounds like a great avenue to check into. Is it possible that you might, 2 weeks, we can hear what the options are via email through the state auditor and the attorney general, and so that we can go forward with getting an idea of the cost.
This email, I'll just do an email without everybody.
Yeah,
Can you please link me in with those emails?
okay, so at which point then we would be at another crossroads to figure out what we're gonna do next.
It might be good to go there in person to make a rapport connection with them. I don't know.
I have
State officers.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It's so far, it's been really wonderful. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I know she called back and was actually, yes, we have options. She was getting me an email. I think that, like I said, it was a great first start, in getting the state or the attorney.
You might choose an audit that would be appealing to a donor.
We're gonna try. Anything else that we need to cover before we go on to, all right, so let's go on to committee reports. Does the bylaw committee have anything to report?
Susan Aikens is very interested in, helping out with the bylaws and the policies. So I wanted to communicate that to the committee. So she would be happy to be part of that. The former library board member is a lot of professional expertise.
I'm sorry.
Susan Aikens.
And she's very interested in the library. She volunteers at the library as well as volunteers at Leslie Window. So,
Oh, nice.
Bylaws.
You know, bylaws have met or this last month, nothing? Okay, does the personnel committee, we have a meeting coming up on Friday. A week from now, Friday, at 1:30. Where we'll be hammering out the details of the co-executive director's
Yeah, we'll have
position.
the draft.
I know, Maggie, you want to be involved in that? The personnel committee,
What day is that?
Friday, a week from tomorrow.
week from tomorrow, 1:30. Does the policy committee have anything for it?
It was just me, had a meeting on Monday. I met with, Annette earlier on in the day, just because I was going through the pieces and needed some library information. I didn't know, like how long periodicals were kept and stuff like that, because they were very outdated. I got through 5 pieces. We have 2 portions of the policy manual. There's one portion that holds 18 documents, which I was putting that towards the end, so it scares me. And then the one that had the 5 documents in it, I went through all of them. I made it all up to date from whatever the library says is to date, which is like their hours and so forth. So we did get through, or I got through. I also recorded it on my Zoom in case anybody's interested. I'll be talking to myself about policy.
I'm gonna do that tonight because.
We tried.
What happened is that we had to take some transition time, so I kept kicking me out the library Zoom.
Because we didn't ask.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got kicked out too, so I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
just for purposes either use it much later than when we're
Upstairs.
scheduled, so that there's no conflict, or I could just send my like own feed out, and that way we don't have to worry about it, we just have to use 45 minutes to slow it down. So anyways, we got through the collection development policy. Community, yeah, we got through that. The community nonprofit educational use, policies for public access to the computer, and the library policies, like computer policies and patron policies. So these were the 5 quick ones we're gonna send. I will send it off into the next committee and readjust however. But I will definitely make sure that that Zoom gets out there, earlier.
And I'm not sure if you heard Susan Akins would like to join us in the
Great.
policy committee.
More the merrier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told her to talk to myself the entire time.
I do not.
Okay, and then the DI committee. Rebecca,
Can I just do a financial one real super quick?
I just asked, Jose Luis, he's got
He
a,
wasn't there. Jose Luis,
I said I didn't have anything before, I mean, you.
he wasn't at the,
Oh, okay.
Maggie was at the finance committee meeting.
Okay.
Oh, so, a handful of people met both in Zoom and in person, 1, 2, 3, 4 in person, 1, 2, 3, 4 online. It was the second committee meeting. Last month I misspoke. I said it was gonna be the 3rd Monday of the month because I thought the board meeting was the 3rd Thursday of the month, but it's the Monday before the board meeting.
Mhm.
So the 4th Monday of the month at 4:30 is the standing meeting. And I went back and I looked at my notes and we did say it was going to be the Monday before the board meeting. We didn't say the number. We just said the Monday before the board meeting. Then, people talked a lot about, who was gonna be the chair of the meeting. We don't have a chair of the committee yet. And that we discussed that we wanted to have 3 basic reports for the board, a monthly profit and loss, a budget versus actual fiscal year to prior month close, and a balance sheet to prior month close, so that all the reports are on finances that have been closed, reconciled. So those are your 3 basic reports. And we also talked about some concerns of the board, which Tony mentioned tonight, wanting a cash flow, wanting to see what the expenses are on a weekly or a monthly or a bi-weekly basis. But we hadn't decided which particular report yet. So in this meeting, you got that. And then what the balance are for the restricted funds and how that plays out. And I did include the restricted funds in this month's report. And then I had some personal thoughts that I wasn't able to discuss in the meeting. And so they're on my typed up report, but I don't need to mention them here because the committee didn't address them. They're kind of things I want on the agenda for the next, like, I keep thinking about things, but then the committee does its own thing. And since we don't have an agenda and we don't have a chair, it kind of is going. But, you know, three's a charm. Maybe the next meeting will be a little cleaner.
thank you, that. And,
EDI, we have our next book discussion and potluck on Friday, April 19th at 6:30. We met every month in January is the third Friday of the month. And we are finishing Resma Meniken's book, my grandmother understands, part one. We'll finish part one to discuss. And I just want to say, I don't know how many people are left on Zoom, but I invite anyone who has concerns, confusion, or interest in DEI to please come to the DEI public book discussion. You're invited to read the books that we're reading and that we talk about, so that we can use some of the language of DEI to hear each other's concerns and perspectives.
Thank you. Then we have the proposal for board strategic planning.
Okay, so that agenda item says everything important to know, except you do not have a proposal in hand right now to look at.
We have a full copy.
There's a couple of copies if you guys want to look at.
But it's not current.
Okay. And so we have to get together a new one?
No.
Yes, we need a strategic plan. This one expired. There's someone organizations is gonna submit a proposal for strategic planning, but did not have it available for this meeting.
Okay. So do we need to say anything else about it?
No.
Okay,
I have a question about these committee meetings. Are there ever three board members or more, or a
We know
quorum?
for
We know.
You know about the quorums?
Yes.
And so can we, I think that it would be good if we also, at the beginning of the committee reports, that we acknowledge that there was no quorum, and I didn't do that in mine either.
Okay.
But I think that at the beginning of all
we
the
will
committee.
announce if there
Is
a
it quorum?
Yes, we will put notice of possible quorum.
Okay, I need to remember that from my committee as well. Okay, so.
What
And
makes
then-
it quorum?
Five.
we have.
I'm sorry, I do have a quick question.
For the community,
Jennifer has a question.
oh, yeah,
I'm sorry. That brings me the bylaws committee. I did a lot of work on it and now I feel like I don't know, I don't even know who's on it anymore. To be honest with you, I don't know where the updated information is for that. And then and I'm at I was just looking at the notes from Susan. So who's heading up the bylaws committee now? I'd like to know. And then also I was contacted by Jenny Rizzo for a children's program committee. And that was not talked about in prior meetings. So I'm happy to be a part of it, but I haven't seen anything come to fruition on that. Maybe someone can enlighten me there. I'm not sure, especially since the bylaws are coming back with a mission statement relating directly to structured literacy. And I don't see that. So I'm just a little lost if somebody could help me out.
Sure, sorry, Jennifer. Bylaws committee is you, Sylvia are our board members that are on there, and then the community member is Susan. We had Cedar on there, but when Cedar departed, she departed, and so left the committees and all.
On the bylaws committee, but I was told that.
And then,
We
right,
were
and
always
then,
discouraged about moving.
and then Maggie joined bylaws and then wanted to leave bylaws and go to personnel, right? And we wanted to keep you on bylaws so that there was continuity in bylaws. But you can also sit on personnel. I don't think there's any problem with that.
There's no problem.
Many of us sit on
we
many
welcome you.
meetings.
I didn't, you know,
And she just wanted to know who was on the committees. And it's Jennifer, the other board member. Wants to know who's on the committee with her. So your three board members that on bylaws are you, Maggie, and Sylvia. Community members are Susan that have expressed interest in bylaws. And that hopefully ends the question to bylaws. Your second question, hold on. Your second question in relation to the children's committee, they have yet to meet. They're just beginning their formation of the committee. I think they're starting to get a date together, is the best of my knowledge, but When that goes out, that'll also be a public announcement and then that invitation to board members to sit on the children education committee. And then as we see that's missing here, fundraising committee, right? Like that is something that we see is necessary. I know that we have some community members that are interested in fundraising, but that should, in my opinion, that should be every board member should be responsible for some fundraising, but you know, we can have some committee members that just really enjoy fundraising with others. But is that helpful, Jennifer?
Yep, that works. Thanks. Thank you.
Where are the postings for when the committee meetings meet? Are they on the?
Not everyone is on a regular schedule like the DEI is, or like finance is. Policy, when they let me know that they're having a meeting, they let me know and I post it out. Bylaws, when they want to have a meeting, they put it up. Personnel, when they have a meeting, we're gonna post it out.
In the 48 hours of the meeting.
That's right, like.
And at some point, I'm sure they'll get into a flow to where there'll be some consistency.
So we're really coming up on it on time, and I want to make sure the community has a chance to talk if they want to talk. So I want to move it along to the community input.
We have 2 people sign and
Okay,
we had 2 people sign in for community input with Taya and Chuck.
did Chuck leave?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, Taya.
Okay.
I'm gonna put 3 minutes on the clock because we also have to have an executive session to wrap it up, and we have to end by 8:30.
I should be able to do it in 3 minutes. So this is all about the February meeting minutes. So, a slight thing, I've asked in the past that the minutes have headers and footers noting the day of the meeting and the pages so that in the future, things can stay clear. It was asked by a community member in the past, I don't remember which meeting, and I think other board members concurred that the initials not be used when stating who is speaking in the minutes. And these current meeting minutes have a mix of first names, initials, and incomplete or misspelled names of past directors. I think those should be corrected before they're approved. Then, I find these minutes to be incredibly inappropriate. If given a few minutes of a Google search, it's clear that the he said and she said types of minutes is discouraged and inappropriate. Key points and ideas are hard to discern, and things that are said are taken out of context and incomplete. I did a quick Google search. You can, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip it. But you're not supposed to do a verbatim kind of minutes. Agenda. The original agenda is not included, nor the clear removal of items, nor the clear statement of the amended agenda. Page 1. A motion is made without stating who made the motion, nor if it was approved. Page 2, the ED report. The first paragraph is not even a complete thought, nor is it written in any way that reflects the ED's written report or the audio recording. Specifically that it says bookkeeper, and then in the written of the meeting minutes, it says my name personally, like I'm being called out, instead of how the ED presented it, which was to say bookkeeper. Pages 3 through 6 is a jumbled mess of parts of what was said and doesn't include parts of what was said or key points are not summarized. Page 5, where it's written that I said Rachel kept track in her brain. I also said that she had reports and I didn't even know how she kept track of things. But the wording in the minutes is written in a disparaging manner towards the past executive director. Page 6 has misspelled and incomplete names of past executive directors. It states something that I've absolutely never said about being against an audit, which as a bookkeeper in this community, I state emphatically that I have never said nor implied that and that I am against an audit. I'm always open for an audit or anybody who's reading my books at any time. The books, not my books, the books I keep for the benefit of the library. Page 7, and this is the biggest one. In coming out of a closed session, the board made a motion, though again, the minutes don't say who made the motion. That is in a violation of other board practices.
Okay.
The board approved a motion that is one incomplete in the
And
minutes
that's-
according to what was stated in the
Yeah.
recording.
That's
Yeah,
fine,
that's-
Taya.
Member is not authorized.
Taya,
to
that's
authorize
fine.
It's time.
expenses.
Time.
You have made.
There you go again. There you go again. There you go again. We listen. We need
Authorize
3
an
minutes.
expense